I think now's a good time to jump back and look at voices. What are voices and what do they mean within Sibelius? At the moment, if I select a bar, you can see that all the notes in that selection turn blue, indicating that they are in voice 1, and you can see that down here. Now, the main reason Sibelius has different voices is to allow conflicting rhythms in a single bar or a single line. There are 4 voices you can choose from: voice 1, 2, which is green, 3, sort of yellowy orange, and 4, pink. Now, generally, you would only have maybe 2 parts that conflict. However, the exception are drum parts. So we're going to look at a drum part quickly. I for instruments and staves, drums and percussion, drum set rock, add to score. We'll just push to the top for now, hit OK. So there are a few rules that it's worth knowing about when you're adding parts that maybe have conflicting rhythms and you're choosing to use more than one voice. First of all, I need to add some notes to this particular part. So we're going to add some 8th notes. And we'll select all of that, double click it to get out of note entry mode. X to flip. Put it up there. We'll go over into notations, which we haven't really looked at yet. Change the note head type to crosses. So now when I play back, there's our hi-hat part. So now we'll go in, and in voice 2 we'll add a kick drum and snare drum. We'll use the filter to select voice 1, hit X to flip, select our entire bar, and R to repeat. Now, although there's no conflicting rhythms as such, you can see how we've separated voice 1, our top part, our hi-hat in this case, and voice 2 to be our kick drum and snare drum. Now, if you had a much more complicated kick drum and snare drum pattern, you could also make the kick drum into voice 3, X to flip that, and then the snare drum into voice 2, and have even more complicated rhythms going on. However, in this case, 2 voices is absolutely fine. Now, the general rule is that voice 1 must always be uppermost. It must be the top part working your way down. And I'll show you quickly now why that must always be the case. Using my voices feature, I can select 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly the same way as I did down here on the bottom of the keypad. But I can also use swap voices. Now, if I swap 1 and 2, you'll see not only do the voices swap colour, they also swap location, as in they don't line up quite properly. This is due to the voices being out of the correct order, hence number 2 is now the uppermost voice. Sibelius won't allow this to line up properly. So we'll swap those back, and now it all lines up again. So, as a general rule, if you find that things aren't quite lining up as you'd expect them to, it may be because you have a voice 2 part above a voice 1 part. Let's have a look at cross-staff notes, or cross-staff beams as it's sometimes known, which is the next section in the Note Input tab. You can see here I've created a quick piano score with a scale of C major across 4 octaves. Now down here it's not looking quite right because we have so many ledger lines below the stave. So what I can do is use cross-staff notes to sort this out for me and make it look more conventional. What I'm going to do is select from down here to just below middle C, then hit cross-staff notes below, and then I'll pull these apart slightly, and you can see now it's starting to look a lot neater. Only thing I now have to do, because I have these unwanted rests behind in the lower part, right click, go to hide or show, and although they may be greyed out, they won't print when you come to look at your score properly. If I want to, I can, instead of going above, I could go below, depending on how my particular piece was moving. Or if I select both bars and hit reset, it will go back to its default location. I've switched into yet another new score to show you two features that are new to Sibelius but actually have been around for quite a long time. We've flicked over here into the View tab and opened a new score with piano and guitar, and I just want to go into Panels here and show you the fretboard window. Now, the fretboard initially appeared in a version of Sibelius called G7 back in sort of Sibelius 3 days, but it's really very handy because you can use the fretboard to build up your composition. So if I select here on the guitar part, I can use it to build up chords. Onto the next one. Play those back. Repeat that again if I want to. Very simple indeed. Flick over here, come out of chord entry mode, which is this button here. Now I can add a simple line. Click there, play back. Very easy to add notes in. So if you're not so familiar with the keyboard layout or a conventional piano keyboard, you can still get the best out of Sibelius adding from the guitar fretboard. Close that one. We also have a conventional keyboard layout, so I can go in over here. Or if I want to, add chords. Go to the next one. Very easy indeed. So that's those two windows for note entry. However, if I open an existing score, go to View, Panels and Keyboard, I can actually use the piano keyboard as a tuition tool. And if I open up the transport control and slow that down even more using the tempo slider and hit playback, you can see how this really does come into its own as a tuition tool as well as a composition tool. So we're going to finish this section with a closer look at FlexiTime and FlexiTime recording. I've set up a quick score here with 3 instruments, a keyboard, bass guitar and drums. And I want to show you exactly how easy it is to put in your own drum parts. We've spoken about how Sibelius deals with conflicting rhythms by using voices, so let's actually see that in action. Select my drum part, hit record, and I'm going to play along with the click track. So you can see that Sibelius has done a pretty good job of mapping out what I played. You can see also that we have the different rhythms showing up in voices 1 and 2. It's automatically known to put voice 1 at the top, so everything lines up perfectly. Let's add some bass to that now. Select my bass part, and I'm going to hit record. Generally, bass is a single part instrument, so it's done a pretty good job there as well. Let's add some keyboard now. So you can see that Sibelius has kind of put this into the wrong octave for me, and if I put this onto a ground staff, it maybe would correct that, but for now let's just put that up the octave and convert it all into voice 1 and play back. So there's some tidying up to be done in there, and we'll have a look at that in the next video. So to summarise what we've looked at in this tutorial, we've looked at the Note Input tab, the keypad, the guitar fret window and piano keyboard window, transposing score and parts, input devices and FlexiTime input. Hope to see you on the next video.